The greatest power you possess is your ability to choose. Join Lowe's Moore as he reveals how you can begin to maximize that power by exploring yourself on the deepest levels and committing to making lasting and positive changes. Get ready to achieve breakthroughs that will lead to accelerated growth and transformation, because you are now tuned in to The Blueprint.
Why the actions contradict the lamb. I'm fellowshipping when I'm with the fam. That's more relations, that's forming.
Good evening and welcome back to the Blueprint Podcast. I'm your host, Lowe's Moore, and I'm excited to be back this week. I hope you guys are enjoying your summer. The weather's been a little crazy, not just here. Of course, I'm in Mount Vernon, New York. But not just here, but just all over. The weather's been real crazy. It's been lightning storms, thunderstorms. It's been super hot. It's just been a little crazy. But you know what? I always say to myself, like, if the good Lord wakes me up each and every morning, I'm going to enjoy the heat. I'm going to enjoy the rain. I'm going to be safe during the thunderstorms, and I'm just going to enjoy life, man. I am really, truly enjoying life each and every day, man. I spent on Friday, I spent time with some wonderful friends on Friday, and their family and my family, and went swimming, man. It was just, they had predicted that they were going to be lightning storms, but man, it was just nice. It was just a beautiful day. Yesterday was just a awesome day, and today was a very wonderful day. I got a chance to get out and walk earlier today, and and I'm just excited to be back. And of course, I'm not going to forget tonight that this is my pebble. It's a little orange, kind of golf ball, basketball, but it's my pebble, and I'm going to drop it in the pond right now, and I'm going to expect the ripple effect of tonight's show. This is going to be truly amazing. And let me say this as I'm getting started, because I was thinking about this earlier, and also I did a little reflection, a blueprint reflection of tonight, and my guests on the show tonight. And one of the things that people need to understand, that talent comes in all kind of sizes, right? And one of the things that I heard a lot, and I'm 6'1", 6'2", I heard a lot growing up in terms of playing sports. My situation was basketball. Some people say, "Hey, man, the guy's too slow. He's not fast enough. He don't." The incredible thing about the NFL last year, I think it was the guy, quarterback from the University of Pittsburgh. They were talking about how small the quarterback's hands were. Now, this guy was successful for 3 or 4 years at the University of Pittsburgh. I mean, just throwing touchdowns, being successful, and all of a sudden, man, they're examining his hands. I was like, man, that's the first time I ever heard that, right? But, I don't know who hires these people. I don't know how they come up with these things. I always feel like if you're a good basketball player, right, and you can play ball, right, and you can be competitive and you can help people win, doesn't make a difference. Because one of my favorite players, I don't know if you guys knew this or not, when I was a little guy, I just happened to drop by the boys club back then, now Boys and Girls Club. I had to drop by, and there was a game going on. And I mean, the club was packed. I mean, packed to the house. And I came in and I was so excited to see, the house team, the club team playing. And the most exciting player out on the floor, I mean, Junie Boykins. I mean, a lot of people who, a little bit before me, if you knew Junie Boykins, he was probably 5'6", 5'7", but he was the most electrifying player, man, on the floor. I mean, he literally dominated the game, shooting jumpers, driving past people, dropping the ball off. And I mean, he just ignited something in me, at that time, being a little guy, right? That little guys can play well and dominate the game, right? And so that's why I've never been, because sometimes, we look at somebody big. And I grew up with some guys, they got picked ahead of me on teams just because they were taller than me. Right. And and I got cut, man, and they picked they picked the bigger guy. And some of those guys turn out to be really good players, and some of them just not very good. This particular guy, he just never got better. Right. But I lost my spot to him. And then eventually next year, we were on the same team. And of course, things like that motivate you, right? And cause you to work harder and to move forward. And of course, I made the team, and I made these great leaps and bounds, and became a very productive player. And so it's always challenging. You either fast, you're not fast enough, you don't jump high enough, you're not athletic enough, you're not pretty enough, you're not light enough, I mean, it's just all kind of things that we just make up, right? I always believe that if God has given you gifts and talents, right, giving you gifts and talent, and that gifts and talents can help you succeed or help you win, right, then you ought to give them an opportunity. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about this later on in the show, because my guest tonight, man, is truly a hero. For those who are looking to avoid mediocrity and looking to not look at, how tall you are or how fast you are, but just to turn around and say, look, I got a dream, I got a goal, I got to put in the work, and I got to go for it. Right. If you put in the work, you put in the time, you go for it. Right. Don't let nobody tell you too small. Don't let nobody tell you not smart enough. Right. You just keep moving forward. Right. Because God got a plan for you. All right. So let me jump into it. Let me start out with my book of the week. Now, this is, I enjoyed this book right here. G. Todd is man out of North Carolina, and he's written this book, Daddy, Who Will I Be? Right. And he's not only just written this book, but he was a educator for many years, and then an expert in mental health. And he's written these children's books. He has actually two more, right? Two more books that he's written. And it says, I Don't See Color and Daddy's Little Princess, right? I mean, of course, you could see there, if you go on Amazon, you can get these books, right? I think these particular books will be encouraging to young people, man. And it's good that Daddy was there so that his son could ask a question about who will he be when he grows up, and then have his father be able to explain to him that, man, I would be explaining, man, what is it that you want to be when you grow up, right? Because you really, whatever you put your mind to and you're willing to work for, you can achieve. So, yeah, that's the book of the week. And here's my word of the week. The word of the week is coincidence, right? I mean, I don't know if anybody, some people say that was luck or, but a coincidence, right? That's when, like, you're thinking about something, and on one end, right, and then all of a sudden it happens. Is it luck, is it faith, or is it a coincidence, right? Anybody have anything out there on you had an experience with this particular word, coincidence. You had any coincidences? So let me know, man. Write it down. Write it in the chat, and let me know where you had an experience where you thought you had a coincidence. And that's my word of the week. And here's my affirmation. It says, you are so close to what you want. Just relax. Like that, man. Sometimes, man, you want something so bad, or you want something to happen so bad, and sometimes it just doesn't happen because you're so anxious, right? You're so excited, you can't wait, right? It is the moment that it's saying here in this affirmation, man, just relax, right? Because what you're looking for is just around the corner. That's my affirmation for this week. And here's my music. Well, there go my person of the week. Oh yeah. Well, I think my person of the week. They just go with the person of the week. Yeah, Richard Roundtree, right? Many look at him, particularly young people will look at this guy and say, Richard Roundtree, who's that? Right? But for the older folks, right, we remember him as Shaft, right? And he just celebrated a birthday recently. And I think I got a picture of, if you see the other picture, right, you got a picture of him as he is currently, and that's the man back there for many of us, in terms of African Americans. Back in the day, John Shaft was the man, right? John Shaft, he's a bad, and this is John Shaft currently. He recently had a birthday, but he was a hero for us back in the day. And that's my person of the week. I don't know if I have my music of the week up there. Maybe I left it off, but my movie of the week, I can tell you what it is. My movie of the week, because I was taking care of the grandkids, right? Let me move along here. I was taking care of the grandkids, man, and I found out that my grandkids got a new movie, right? It's called The Boss Baby, or the Baby Boss, right? Man, I think they wake up in the morning with it, and I think they go to bed with it. But that's my movie of the week, man. And I watched it once, but now I've watched it like 4-5 times already. And they laugh at stuff, man, in that movie. And I'm like, man, do they understand that what they saying? And it seems they just start laughing at it, which means they got some understanding about what's going on in that particular movie. And then also, I want my music of the week, and I apologize for not having it up there, but Lionel Richie, right? Remember Lionel Richie I think he was with the Commodores. Say yes, say no. Lionel has had an amazing career, amazing songs, right? Just growing up with Lionel Richie was just just one of those, a different kind. He had different kind of music that we just truly enjoyed, man. And we salute him as well as my music of the week. And I want to pay my respects now. I want to pay my respects to a good friend of mine, Steve Walls. Many of you guys, you won't remember Steve, but Gene and Steve, when I was growing up playing basketball from a little guy and all the way through high school, Gene and Steve was like inseparable. Every game, man, Steve and Gene, whether we were playing at home in Mount Vernon or playing in Greenberg or playing in summer leagues, Gene and Steve was always refereeing the games. They were always fair. They always taught us how to be respectful on the court. And I was sorry to hear, a few years ago, Gene had passed away, but now Steve Walls has passed away. And man, what a gentleman, man. What a nice guy, man. And just an amazing person. And the best referee. Him and Gene and Steve was the best referees that I ever seen, man. They was just knew how to be respectful, and they knew how they didn't choose no sides, right? Because sometimes officials, whether it was a white team versus a black team, or man, they were just the best. They would ref the game. Fair play was in play all the time, man. You could never say it was the ref's fault or the ref was cheating. Those guys didn't do that, man. They had integrity, right? And then Bill Modest, of course, he's my hero. He's probably I seen him the other day. He was refereeing the kids' game the other day, and we looked up and said, "Is that Modest?" And he's probably like 80. He got to be 87, 88, and he's still out there refereeing. He's my hero. Because when I'm not gonna be refereeing no games, but when I get 80, 89 or something like that, I want to be moving just like Bill Modest, right? So again, thank you. We got a coincidence here. Coincidence that my daddy told me when I was 12 that I was an excellent young man, right? And we were 18.8 years later, I was your wife. Coincidence or blessing? 40 years in 2 weeks. Me and my wife will be married for 42 years, right? In 2 weeks. Can you believe that? Ooh, yeah. That's a blessing. That's not a coincidence. Yeah, that's a blessing and a coincidence. But yeah, let's get rolling. Let's get rolling. 2 more weeks, celebrating 40. Right. And so let me show you these. I got a couple of highlights to show you, and then we'll jump right into the conversation.
The most common way for people to measure how good a high school basketball player truly is by asking one question. What Division I schools are recruiting him? And it's probably a fair way to assess talent. In 2018, for Demetre Roberts of Mount Vernon, the answer to that question was essentially nobody. His resume didn't matter. Not the state championship, not the finals MVP, not the stats or the awards. Roberts was 5'8". The end. Personally, I remember the day Roberts announced his commitment to Division II powerhouse St. Thomas Aquinas in Rockland County. Roberts' post. He was grateful for the opportunity to play in college, but clearly disappointed in the process. He wrote that day, "Unfortunately, every basketball player doesn't get the chance to play D1 and gets overlooked. But at the end of the day, the goal is to find a place where you can be focused and reach other goals." That place proved to be St. Thomas Aquinas. I also remember struggling that day on how to share the news myself on Twitter. He was going D2, but when I went to tag him, I left it out because he still had D1 in his handle. Roberts later changed that, but his focus never wavered. The point guard had 4 brilliant seasons at St. Thomas Aquinas, cutting down nets, scoring points, and showcasing his true talents. Roberts got his degree and was prepared to move on in basketball. But it wasn't until another person who had been painfully overlooked at the Division I level himself, his highly respected coach at Stack, Tobin Anderson, finally got his opportunity. And Roberts got to come along for the ride. Tonight, these two are the primary reasons why Fairleigh Dickinson went from a 4-win laughingstock of a program a year ago to an NCAA tournament team. This journey for Roberts is almost storybook. And no matter who cuts down the nets in Houston next month, his dream of being a part of March Madness has finally been realized.
All right, we gotta show you one more. We got some more. Show that next highlight. Come on, we got something else we gotta show too.
Misses they are. They really have gotten to the rim and can't finish. Roberts. Oh, he'll take it. change of direction. And Roberts knocks it down. They've got Rosado at 6'8", out on Roberts, who's 5'8". Yeah, this is not a good matchup. Roberts over Rosado. Floors, they await the whistle. Roberts, nice move. Roberts from the free throw line. Oh, he's heating up. He's so fast. Switching all these screens. Here's Reynolds handing off Roberts, catching a shoot three. From the corner, and Sean Moore another rebound. Can't get a better shot. Moore has 9 boards. Oh, Golden's on it. Roberts reverse! Special! 7-foot jumper on the baseline before John L. Davis started to do it. He leads all scorers with 19. Roberts in 1. Elijah looking for someone to come help him. It's Roberts. With the shot clock at 7. Roberts speeds on the baseline and scores.
Oh man, that was awesome, man. I watched that 3, 4, 5 times, man. You know, Demetre Roberts, man, better known as Meech. Man, welcome to the Blueprint, man.
Hey, I appreciate you for having me.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I was excited to have you on tonight, man. And I wanted, my wife said it to you just before we came on to the show. She was proud of you, right?
Yeah.
You know, I was proud of you. Of course, my son Isaiah is always proud of you, and whole Mount Vernon is proud of you, man. And I was so glad to see a nation see your talent, man. Just you know, just amazing. And you know what? You know, I'll start when you were, you know, going into your senior year, and had a conversation with one of your mentors. We will talk to a little bit later. I call him Garbage Game, but you know, but you know, I thought about a number of schools, right, and I made a few calls back then, right, to people about, because they had small point guards too. I'll just name Hofstra was one of them. I knew some guys that had small guards as well that gave them opportunity. And I had a long conversation with the coach, you know, back then, and a couple other schools too as well. You know, because sometimes, man, if you don't make the call, right, people will never, you know, recognize, because you're not in that. Everybody's looking at this, you know, these elite 25 players or 30 players that they see out there. Even this year, I've called Rutgers University for a couple of guys at Mount Vernon. I had West Virginia come in, and Arkansas and South Carolina State to see some of the guys from this year, you know, playing, because, you know, at least I can do, you know, my part, at least try. But some of these people, I said, man, you don't know a kid's heart, man. You know, sometimes you just have to have people take a chance, right? And it should never be like that. But again, you know, the crazy part about it is that you took all these detours and you ended up where I thought you should have been in the very beginning. So yeah, so talk about a little bit, because we're going to digress in a moment, but talk about like what it was like. You did something, even though I had an opportunity to play Division I ball, and even though I had an opportunity to make it to the pros, and you hopefully in that pathway right now, but I never made it to the NCAA. So you've done something that I never did, right? And you not only got to the NCAA, but you won some games there, right? So talk a little bit about the experience, man.
I mean, hearing you say that, man, it's humbling for itself. You know, obviously, you know, coming from where we come from, and you know, obviously that's been a dream of mine since, you know, even watching, you know, the Final Fours, Elite Eights, the tournament period. You know, that's been the goal of mine since coming out of high school. So, you know, like just being patient, you know, not trying to rush things. You know, I was very unfortunate to, you know, go straight to Division I out of high school. So, you know, I mean, it's all about progressing. And, once I got the opportunity to, seek my dream and one of my dreams. And, once we got there, it was just like, you got to make the best of it because I only had 1 year. So that was my final year. So, I couldn't take that one for granted. So, once I got there, it was just like, win, lose, or draw, I just got to go out there and just, try to prove that I was wrong and, try to do the best I can to, show, put on for New Jersey. Obviously, our school is from New Jersey. So, obviously the state of New Jersey was, proud of the run we did. And obviously Mount Vernon, everybody was tuned in. So, to just put on a performance like that and obviously win games. And, obviously, Fairleigh Dickinson only won 1 game before we got there, NCAA tournament-wise. So for us to go out there and win a playing game and then, take down Purdue, it was amazing. So, I could just be blessed and, just hope for more to come.
Yeah. And before we get back into some more basketball, man, talk a little bit about family. I know you mentioned in the beginning, you mentioned before we got on, we were talking about the hoop behind you, right? You said, yeah, I got brothers. So talk about, I mean, your because of course I did some reading. So talk about your grandmother, your mother, talk about your siblings. Talk a little bit about that, man, and growing up.
So first time I picked up a basketball, I was 4 years old. I remember, growing up in the Bronx. Obviously I was living with my grandmother at the time. So, I used to, my grandma's house, it was us and my cousins. So, and I think like, everybody was watching basketball for me household wise. So, I think the first game I ever watched was the Lakers and the Pistons. My cousin ended up showing me it. So I was just like, after that, it was just like, it just fell in my hands. So, obviously, being in my grandma's house with cousins and siblings and stuff like that, I used to grab my grandma's dirty hamper and I used to put it in the living room and I used to take like all our socks and I just boil up to a basketball and I used to shoot into the dirty hamper. So yeah, I just knew basketball was just I always felt like basketball was my escape way. It was either basketball. So, obviously now, I got, like you said, with the hoop back, I got 2 little brothers in here, and this is not the only one. So, around the house, they got basketball hoops around the house. So, they just obviously just playing. So,
Yeah. And, what did they think, man? Seeing you do all this stuff, man, and
man, I can't even put into words, just, my mom and my dad was there, it's crazy because when I called my dad, probably like a day before the Purdue game. And, we were speaking on the phone. We had a long conversation. It was like, I asked him like you coming, like if you don't come, I understand. But I was like I really like, cause we all felt like we could beat Purdue. Like that's what people now know now, because it was like everybody tried to make a storyline about it, and it was like, so everybody knew. But like in the locker room, we all felt like we could make history and beat Purdue. And I was on the phone. I remember I was on the phone with my dad. I was just telling him like, yo, I ain't gonna lie, you should come because this is gonna be special. And he was like, I'm definitely there. And I don't think he was gonna tell me though. And my mom actually surprised me because I didn't think she was gonna come. So and then she was there. So to see them there, and then obviously us winning, and seeing their face, seeing their expressions after we won, like and then obviously my brother's calling me and stuff like that. I had friends from everywhere calling me. It was amazing. It was amazing.
Yeah, no, that like they say, it was bananas.
It was amazing.
Yeah, that was good. So talking about growing up, how important is family, how important is faith, and how important is education?
Yeah. With faith, I feel like it was better to learn sooner than later. Obviously with my story, I think my story defines faith. Obviously, in high school, I did the best I can. I always made sure I was the hardest worker. not competitive between my peers, but just being competitive for myself to be better for myself. And obviously, when the chances were little because of my obviously my size, and obviously, we had open gyms, and you see a lot of college coaches walk through the door and they sit down, they have conversations with coach, and they watching us go up and down for hours. And then, obviously you feel like you do good, but then it's like, when you don't get that conversation with a coach, or when you have coach don't bring you over to the coach, and it's like you kind of have that thought where it's like, if that coach don't like me and stuff like that in that order. So I learned in college. I learned in college that you just control what you can control. When you can't control that, college don't, certain coach, you might not fit their system. It is what it is. You just got to control what you can control. And I just feel like with my ability, with obviously I feel like I have the utmost confidence for myself. And, with just leaving, obviously controlling what you can control, and just leaving everything else with God. Just let God control everything else, and everything else will be easy. And I just feel like with my story, I just feel like everything else was just easy for me because, like I said, it's instead of just trying to sit back and just think about everything, and it'll kind of mess you up mentally and physically. So when I was in college, when I was at Stack, my first college, I just kind of learned that, just controlling what you could control, and everything else will play out itself. And I went to Stack in 2018, and that was my dream, is going to Division I. It didn't happen. 5 years later, I'm playing on TNT. So
yeah. Well, basketball wise, let's digress for a second and go back to Mount Vernon High School.
Yeah.
Right. And talk about let's start off with talking about Coach Amino and that experience at Mount Vernon.
Yeah, I always say, Bob, he's a father figure for not only me, for all the players that has played for him. Obviously he's legendary. Don't really have to talk too much about that. The proof is in the pudding. So but I always, like, when I look back, I always thank Coach a lot. Like, every time I see him, I always thank him, because I think, I know he's prepared me for college. What we did in our practices, what we did for drills and stuff in that order, it kind of helped me in college, because when I got to college, it made it more easy because I did that in high school.
Right.
He's just a guy that's just good. He's just honest with you. He's gonna be very honest with you, whether you like it or not. But it's for the better. So he always told me, you're a Division I player, and he always told me that in high school, you're a Division I player. But stuff might not go your way all the time, and I think, I sat down with him, and, probably after I spoke to, like, my dad and my uncle about, I think it was like 2 days before I committed to St. Thomas Aquinas College, I had a conversation with him, and he told me the same thing, you're a Division I player, stuff doesn't go your way. It is what it is. You got to make your own path. And, I think that's prepared me for the long run. So
right.
I couldn't thank him enough.
Yeah, and it was interesting. We were talking the other day at the high school, and we were talking to one of the players. I think it was Elijah, right? And we were talking to Elijah, and a lot of the college coaches today that I speak to, when I was speaking to about Elijah and Dylan, they were telling me, hey, like that path you took, right? A lot of these guys, these coaches are telling me, hey, man, tell them to get in school, man. Get, Division III, Division II, junior college, get in, ball out, do well in school. And because of the pandemic, is kind of changed the landscape, right? Because colleges are not looking for freshmen, seniors coming out of high school, unless you were an elite McDonald's player, so they're not looking to develop high school players. They're looking to either go in the portal, or they're either going to players that have had experience at the Division III, II, or community college levels. And you did it kind of accidentally, going to St. Thomas Aquinas and then having an opportunity to go over to to a Division I. So you did something that most people got to try to do.
Yeah.
You did it unconsciously, but people are gonna have to try to go those directions now. And but talk about the experience, because you had at St. Thomas Aquinas, you had an amazing. Most people don't know, and I didn't get a chance to come to. I think I came to maybe one or two games, but I know Isaiah was always saying, "Hey, and Meech is playing. He's gonna be on TV." So we just tried. I personally just tried to stay up, but Isaiah was always caught up. Yeah. And you had an amazing 4 years, man. I mean, talk about that, and also talk about how you balance between becoming an amazing player there, but also in the academic side of it too as well.
Well, at Stack, it's a small school anyway. So, I think my decision was based off that, just going to a school where it's like, it's not too much. I could just focus on both sides, on the court and off the court. I could just focus. And I think Stack was I only had two options. I think Stack, out of the options, Stack was the best one, in terms of academically and athletics. But my 4 years there was, I just said it. I said it to one of my friends like 2 days ago. I kind of missed that. I missed that. I missed the vibe. It's a small school. Everybody knows everybody. Everybody is so into the books there. So it's like, it kind of gives you that push. I said, it's a saying. It was like, if you're the best in the room, you need to find a new room. I think Stack was. I think when I seen that, I think Stack was the perfect definition of that. When I went to Stack, it was just like, you got kids from South Carolina, you got kids from Virginia, you got kids from Pennsylvania, you got vets that's already there. When I went there, it was 8 seniors that left. And then you got all these. I was one of the freshmen. We had like 6 freshmen, and then you had like 3 or 4 transfers from everywhere. So, right. Whether you think you're the best coming out your city or your section or whatever, you're definitely not. Or if anything, you're going to have to prove it one way or another, because obviously it's a new slate for everybody. And then obviously everybody's fighting for minutes and stuff like that. So, I've always been a humble guy, so I never approached it that way. I approached it everybody's good. You just got to do different things that set you different from everybody else. And I think that's what defined me. The first day I went there, coach showed me around. The first thing I did was went to the gym and I put up shots, getting used to the court, getting used to the school. After that, I went to go see the classes and stuff like that. It was obviously everything about the school was small. Small classrooms, the library's small, everything is small. So, it kind of sets that, that small state. You know what I mean? So, Stack was amazing. Stack was amazing. I missed that. And, I think Stack also, prepared me for going to Fairleigh Dickinson, because Fairleigh Dickinson is no different than Stack. Stack is just D2 and then Fairleigh Dickinson is D1. So, but they're both small though. They're both small schools. So I think that's, I think that's prepared me for, both levels.
Yeah. And talk about, you're talking about Stack. We'll talk about the relationship between, over those 4 years you developed with your coach.
Tobin, he was my first offer. He was my very first offer in high school. I remember this day vividly. I seen him coming to the gym. And we had open gym, and that open gym, I think those are one of the probably the best open gyms I had. And I remember, obviously him coming to me after open gym, him and coach, having that conversation with me, and he gave me my first offer. And when he first told me the school, I was like, I didn't know what that was. I didn't know what that was. And then, you know, coach obviously, you know, explained to me like it's Division II, you know, it's at least it's something. You know, at that time it was like, yeah, it's something, but like that's not, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But you know, obviously, you know, he's like I'm big on loyalty. So, you know, like he was my first offer. So after that, he's just been, you know, he's been texting me, texting my mom, my dad. He's been calling me, you know, texting me, trying to, you know, see what I'm doing, you know, trying to get me up to the school. And he's been doing this since I was in high school, like since he threw me my first offer from my junior year all the way to my senior. He came to my last game, my senior year. We played up in States. I didn't know he was there. He texted me like 2 days. He texted me 2 days after we lost. He texted me like, "Hey, I was there." So, you know, and then, you know, that speaks for itself. You know, obviously, and you know, I kind of, you know, we always laugh, like all the coaching staff. We kind of laugh and joke about it. You know, obviously because he told everybody. So, you know, he kind of, you know, obviously when he was texting me and calling me, I was kind of like not ducking his calls, but I was ducking his calls. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
I was ducking his calls
Because you were thinking there was another call coming.
Yeah. So, you know, I was kind of, you know, ducking his calls and stuff like that. And, you know, I think, you know, still with him still wanting me, you know, and obviously for me doing that for that long and, you know, him still accepting me and, you know, taking me on that ride, you know, it shows that he was all in from day one. And, you know, he believed in me. So, you know, that relationship is forever. That's not going to break. Nothing's going to change. I feel like he gave me the keys early, you know, from my freshman year all the way to my last year, you know, and obviously everywhere I was at, he was at, you know. So, and we had some good days, and I think we had more bad days than good days. I feel like those bad days that we had, it was kind of made the good days special, you know. So I couldn't like Semino, I couldn't thank him enough, you know.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think Coach Firmino, he's got a couple of comments as well as Mike Hammett down there. If you can see them, he said many lazy coaches who should have been fired missing on Meach. Yeah. I mean, you know, it's something about recruiting. Right. When you have coaches like Tobin, right, who see something in a player, right, and stay in there thinking like you know, I see something in this person, in this young man. And for me, Coach Jim Amick, he was the guy out of all the coaches that recruited me, all the many schools that recruited me. He was the one guy that stuck out in my head because he came to dinner, he called all the time. You know, I'm playing tournaments, he'd be there. You know, he was just everywhere, you know, all the time. And he was the main reason why, you know, I chose to go to West Virginia, you know, out of all other schools. It was the relationship,
Yeah.
you know, and I felt like, and I think my mom felt like, yeah, this guy really cared about me besides just the basketball player, you know, kind of like when you think of Coach Semino, you kind of, and Tobin, you kind of got the same person,
Yeah.
you know, and you always looking for that, you know, kind of that same person. And talk about now the 4 years are done, right? You're thinking like this is over, right? You know, and all of a sudden, tell me what happens. Like, it's, you know, you're doing all these great things at Stack, and then all of a sudden, you like, because I know what it's like to be at the end of the 4 years, man. And like,
Yeah.
oh man, it's about to be over.
Yeah.
You know, I can't come back, man. Ain't no more yelling and screaming. You know, so talk about that experience and how you end up at Fairleigh Dickinson.
So, I remember this day, man. That so we played our last. So we went to the NCAA tournament for Division II. We went to the Sweet 16. We played Bentley March 18th. I think it was March 18th. So, after that, obviously we left and stuff like that. We was on the bus. So it was me and my roommate at the time. Well, yeah, me and my other teammate that went with me to Fairleigh Dickinson. We were speaking. And, obviously, we already did 4 years. So luckily we had the COVID year. So we had an extra year. So, we were speaking about it, and obviously we've been speaking throughout that whole year. Our senior year, we've been speaking about it during the season of what we're going to do, and we kind of sensed that coach didn't want to, like coach thought we was going to transfer, but obviously he didn't want us to. He wanted us to stay that extra year. So we always spoke about it. Me and my teammate always spoke about it, and when we lost, we was on the bus and we was talking about it the whole ride back. And we kind of made our decision on the bus. Obviously we'd have had the whole same team that we lost with. We'd have had the same team going into next year. Obviously following up with some good freshmen and transfers and stuff like that. So, we already had our decision made up to do the 5th year at Stack. And, obviously, coach is a hard recruiter, so he's going to recruit the best guys from anywhere. And, and I remember, May 1st was when we found out the news. I was sleeping. I was actually sleeping. I was supposed to meet with coach that morning at 10 o'clock in the morning. And my roommate had class. He had an a.m. class. So when he came in, he actually woke me up. I guess he found out way before I did. And, when he woke me up and, he was telling me, like, did you find out about coach? I'm like, nah, what happened? And then he told me he got the job at FDU, but I'm so like into sleep where it's like I'm just sleeping.
It's not registered.
Yeah, so, but I actually look at my phone. It was 9:40. It was like 9:48 or something like that, and I was meeting him at 10. So that's when I kind of had to get up. And then when he told me that, and when I got up, he already left. My roommate already left, so I couldn't even ask him like, "What you say?" So obviously. And then I rushed to his office, and I just remember my roommate just saying something, and I'm just like, I hope this what this meeting is not about. And me and my other teammate who I was speaking to at the time, and we went to him and he told us, he got the job. I mean, it was kind of, we was kind of like surprised. We was kind of surprised, but more like hurt, because we made our decision 2 days after, well, not even 2 days, the same day we lost, we made our decision to stay that extra year and, obviously, push recruiting and stuff like that and who we thought would be good for us going into a 5th year and stuff like that. And then, obviously him getting the new job and stuff like that. So it was a big hit, especially for me, so, but, when you sit back and think about it, you sit and you think about the bigger picture. It's like that's a better opportunity for him and his family, and better opportunity for the coaches because obviously the coaches want to coach at the highest level too. So, all of that, and then obviously he had the chance to bring him and my other teammate with him. So, that kind of just settled me down, and then obviously one of my coaches from Stack was actually assistant coach then when Tobin left and got the job. He ended up being the head coach at Stack and stuff like that. And then the rest of the coaches went on to FDU. So, that kind of, everybody made a decision to go to FDU way before I did. I kind of I was the last one to make my decision. So, but obviously when I sat down and then, obviously being 4 years at D2, I did my best at the Division II level. And then, obviously, Division I was one of my dreams. So it was like, I did the best I could Division II. So it's kind of, it's time to take a different direction. So, and then, I just went D1.
Yeah. Were you excited?
When I committed, I was very much excited because it was a different look. Obviously, I wanted that look coming out of high school. Now 5 years later, I'm I signed a letter of intent to go to Division I. So it was just like, you can't. And then obviously, like I said in the beginning of the podcast, I only had 1 year to kind of like prove myself why I should have been here.
Right.
So, whether I take it for granted, it's gonna haunt me in the long run, because obviously you're gonna look back at it and be like, I kind of took it for granted. So I kind of thought of it early, like, what, this might be, my best decision, and for me to come in and take it for granted is I can't do that. So I was very much excited, and obviously bringing others with it, like my teammate, that's been my roommate for 4 years since I was at Stack. He's been my roommate from my freshman year all the way to our last year. Even at Fairleigh Dickinson, he was my roommate. So to have him with us, and then our coaches, I knew the coaching staff already. So, and then I already knew some people at FDU, so it made it easier. So it made it more exciting.
Yeah, I mean, but you go there and you end up, pretty unique.
Yeah.
Because you end up starting. Right. So, because hey, coach like you a whole lot, but he's in Division I now. That's a whole nother mindset. So that means that you had to go in and prove yourself, right, and become the starting player, right? And so, how was that experience? And did you find what was the difference between the players in Division II and the players in Division I, and then not just your teammates, but now you're playing Division I competition? What was your thoughts?
So he always told me, like, from day one, like, he always told me, like, look, I love you. Like, me and my teammate that came with me, he always told us, like, look, I love you guys. I love you guys, but this is a damn near lifetime opportunity for the both of you, and I'll be damned if I just let y'all in here on the easy route. So we already knew, like, coming in, we was like, obviously all the guys that, so at FDU, I think, obviously they fired their coach, and then, with their coach leaving, they had a lot of guys leave. So only about 4 or 5 guys that was already at FDU stayed, and the rest of them left. So obviously I probably knew one of them. Yeah, I knew one of them. So, but obviously they knew, like, all right, they bringing in, D2 guys. Obviously he's favoritism is already there. That's not how it was, so, like,
right.
I think he pushed both of us the hardest more than he did with them, so
right.
He always let that be known from day one. So, it kind of gave us like an extra chip to have on our shoulder, going into Division I, because obviously, D2 is very much different, and obviously the competition is different. It's not really that much of a difference, though, that people make it seem. Obviously, we considered like low Division I, so my D2 was kind of like the same, if that makes sense. But I think, like, obviously at Division II, the guards can be small, the guards can be big. Yeah, your average big at Division II could be 6'5".
Yeah, that's true.
Division I is like, all right, now you got bigs that's 6'11", 7'6", and all that nature. So
yeah.
So, obviously it was different, height wise, but competition wise, I feel like it wasn't nothing different. I just think the pace was much faster. Faster. So
yeah, and I and that's what sometimes people don't recognize, as and why it's important. For me, I used to ask a lot of questions, when I was a young kid. When, like, Gus and all those guys playing, Earl Tatum, Rudy Hackett, and I used to see them at the boys club, now Boys and Girls Club, and I would ask them, hey man, what's the difference, from playing in a club and playing in high school? And they were talking about, hey man, everybody's fast, everybody's quicker, everybody, is a lot more athletic, they understand the game a little bit more. And then then I make the high school team, and I go on, and they go on to college, and I'm writing them, or they come back during the summertime. What's the difference between being in high school and being in college, man. They start talking about the difference between chess and checkers. You know, how people think, 2 and 3 moves ahead, right? And so if you don't have anybody to tell you, you'll get there and you're in shock because you know you got to know the difference. It's more physical. The physicality is different. The speed of the game is different. The quickness is different. I mean, players and mental quickness is different. How they think about the game. Yeah, just having that experience. Making you made a nice smooth transition.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you was balling out, and what was your thoughts now? I'm sure academically there's a lot more pressure now. You playing Division I, right? And now you got another year of class. What did you do? Did you graduate? You graduated from STAG.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you start a program at FDU.
Yep. So, 5th year, it's a good in itself because now for that 5th year you can go in and start your masters early. So that's what me and my roommate did. We just went for our masters.
Okay. Yeah.
Master program. All of our, it was smooth. All of our classes, we went to for our masters in sport management. So all of our classes was online. So
okay.
Yeah. So it was good.
Yeah. So so now we're gonna have a pop on guest soon, but let's talk a little bit about while you were there. Now not only were you dreaming about making a high school team, and then now you're dreaming about like, hey, I got a Division I scholarship, and you don't get a Division I scholarship, then you play Division I, then in your mind you're thinking like, oh yeah, I still want to play pro ball. So what's your thoughts like now? Now that you accomplished, boom, boom. Now here's the next step, right? What's your thoughts?
So my thoughts are pretty simple. It's the same critics that I've been going through since high school. The reason why I didn't go Division I is because of my height. So now that I got to Division I, I proved everybody wrong. So it's all about levels. Obviously, NBA is this, no matter what. So obviously, the critics are very much high. But it's how you deal with it. It's how you go about it. I feel like when I was in high school and I didn't get my Division I scholarship, I didn't have time to just sit around and just mope and complain about why I didn't get a scholarship, why this coach didn't like me, or why this coach didn't come watch me and stuff like that. All I could do is control what I control, and obviously, my dad had me in the gym every single day. Even if he was at work or something like that, I would still find my way into the gym. So just working on my craft. That's the only thing you can do is sit around just moping around about what you don't got. So yeah, I think it's the same thing. I think it's the same thing. Even at Division I, obviously while I was there, I still put the time in, to just get reps in, protect my craft, and even now, it's going to be it's times 10. Like I said, the league is like this, so the critics is going to be the same. Everything with me is just height, height and size.
Right.
So
well,
it's
I
how
mean,
about about it.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it when you coming up in terms of what this next level,
Yeah.
right? And I've seen that your body wise from high school to college, I mean, you gotten stronger. You got a low center of gravity, right? Strong lower body, strong upper body, right? And so at that next level, right, you can, you got to match that physicality.
Yeah.
Right. Speed wise and quickness, you got to use those those things to your advantage, particularly on defense.
Yeah.
You know, to be scrappy. Always somebody's gonna look at your height and say, but no team in the NBA is gonna say, okay, you came in the game, and so we just gonna run this guy down to the post and post you up.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I think of a lot of guys, man. I don't know if you remember Calvin Murphy.
Calvin Murphy,
He's one of the all-time greatest players in the NBA, 5'7". Right. I mean, Calvin was just, you remind me a lot of Calvin. I don't know if you've seen any highlights on Calvin Murphy.
No, probably didn't.
But he was the meanest guy in the league. He chopped down trees, man. He knocked folks out, man. He knocked big dudes out, man. You know, literally, he had a mindset that was so crazy. Right. I played against him. He was like one of my heroes. Right. Yeah. And so when I played against him, he was the Houston Rockets. I was with the Nets. So when I seen him, right, and I'm 6'1", 6'2", right. So when I seen him, I was like, man, this little dude can't guard me. So I took him to the post, right. I took him to the post him up, turned around, slapped the backboard, and he came down at me with the ball like 100 miles an hour, and then hit me with an elbow in the throat. Right, jump back and start fighting. Because he thought like I disrespected him, you know. But you know, you got that low center of gravity. He competed in the NBA. Charlie Chris is another little guard. He's probably about 5'8". You know, Spud Webb. You know, you jump out the gym like Spud Webb jump out the gym. I seen you out there dunking in and all that kind of stuff like that. You know, so yeah, Spud Webb is another guy, and then the one kid who played on Charlotte Hornets, he was smaller. He's smaller than all of y'all, right? Yeah. He's smaller than everybody. He was out there. Muggsy Bogues.
Muggsy Bogues might be like 5'5", 5'6".
Yeah. So I mean, people have done it. You know, it's not impossible. You know, and then on offense, they got to guard you too, right? I mean, I remember my first time playing against Magic. He looked at me. I was guarding him, and he was looking at me like he went straight to the post. I mean, on me. He's just like, oh, he's gonna disrespect me, you know. And I tore his side up, man, with my elbow. You know, after about 9 times of ripping his side up, you know, he jumped out that post and went back to normal. First of all, you're not gonna spend the whole game trying to post me up.
Yeah.
Right. And then I was like telling coach, like, hey, coach, you know, coach, like, what? You know, I'm like a rookie, you know, coach, he can't guard me, man. Just I was like, he's 6'9". There's nowhere in the world he can stay in front of me. You know, I just blowing by Magic, dishing it off to people, laying it up. You know, hey, you got advantages as well as he has advantages. I mean, you know, it's just the way it is, you know, and you're preparing for that next level, man. You just need opportunity.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you just need an opportunity. Uh-oh. Look who we got here. Hey, just before you start talking, man, I want to show you guys something real quick. Check out this video, man, and we're gonna bring on Garbage Game, right? Kenny Tyler, we're gonna bring him on. Check this out.
It's chilly outside, but the area's high school basketball courts are heating up, and that means it's time for the SNY Invitational. The tournament is back for the 9th season. Also back is Mount Vernon High School and junior point guard Demetre Roberts. After moving to Mount Vernon a few years ago from the Bronx with his mother, who is a New York police detective, Demetre has found a home both on and off the court. Here's more on his story, presented by Metrics.
He wasn't good at all, but he was fast and he was a good kid.
Even up to this day, he always tell me that he was gonna cut me because I wasn't that good compared to his other players. And I wasn't good, you know, I couldn't make a left-hand layup, I couldn't dribble, you know, but like he seen something in me that he didn't see in the other players, and that was hard.
I was a coach for the Mount Vernon Junior Knights, and he would just come around, and he was just always in my car, you know? And I was like, who is this kid? Why is he, always in my car? you know, he just kind of clicked with me, you know.
When I first moved to Mount Vernon, you know, I didn't have a father, you know, but him just coming into my life was just turned my whole life upside down. So probably without him, I wouldn't be here.
He's unlike any father figure. He's just there for him. So it's somewhat frightened me at first because this man just took on this role. But it's just fascinating how he just stepped in and just took him under his wing.
It makes me feel really good, you know, because I come from my mom was a single mom as well. And, you know, it's all about giving back. And you want everybody to reach their full potential. And in our neighborhood, all you hear them talk about is, oh, there are no fathers and there are no parents and misguided children and this wouldn't happen if. And I didn't want him to be a what if. He really looks for somebody to look up to, and you know, that's why I kind of adopted him. I call him my son, I really do. Everywhere we go, I call him my son.
Good luck, good luck. I think having Kenny in his life has been very important. Streets of Mount Vernon are not easy to grow up in. Our fellows are looking for role models all the time. Some of them find negative role models. It's a gift to have Kenny Tyler here with Demetre. Kenny is just totally in his corner every step of the way for the positive things. I think one of his goals on earth is just to make Demetre Roberts a successful man, and my God, has he been instrumental in his growth. Cover, cover!
It's absolutely great. You know, not too many people out here could just find somebody to just not only take him to the gym, because it's more than basketball with him. You know, it's absolutely great to have him.
I think it meant a lot because for me growing up, I looked for that, you know? And sometimes everybody just wants to know that somebody has your back. I think he understands the sacrifices I make just to be around, you know?
It's sometimes basketball, but it's really not basketball. It's just life. You know, he gave me some quotes. I always ask him for advice. I wouldn't be here without him. So it's just all love for him.
Mount Vernon takes the court Friday against.
Awesome. You're gonna make me tear up in here, man. Don't be trying that. Don't be trying to make me garbage game. I mean, Kenny, what's up, man?
What's going on?
So you up there? You taking care of your other kids? So they playing?
Yeah, you know.
Right. So, Meech, tell me what you think about this guy right here, man.
I gotta compliment him a lot on his podcast.
You don't got enough time for that on this podcast for him to tell you what he think about me. Oh my gosh.
Oh man.
I wouldn't be around him though. You know that. You know, he's seen the worst of me, he's seen the best of me. So we kind of been through a lot with each other, for the best, for better for myself. So he always tell me, you know, just be better than him. So I'm just trying to do that.
Well, I think you passed that in high school, but no. I mean, he's always talking to you, Meech, you know, especially when you was younger. He's probably talking to you, bragging, you know, trying to post you up, trying to show you his game, you know, all that kind of stuff like that, man. But I have to say this, that Kenny was a good player. You know, he kind of remind me a little bit of you, with a little bit less athleticism. But you know, Kenny had a nice game, man. You know, he could score, he could play defense, he was tough, man. He kind of remind me a lot of you, man. I mean, and both of his sons, you know, both of his sons that are playing now, you know, remind me a lot of him too as well. You know, he was a good player, man. You know, but to see y'all connect is really powerful, man. You know, because it kind of remind me, we all need, particularly when we grow up in single parent homes, it's amazing how God allows people to come in our lives, right? And you know, they come out of nowhere. For me, Denzel Washington always talks about Billy Thomas. I always talk about, Jimmy Jones. And then, I had an opportunity to come into, as well as Coach Semino, come into Ben's life, and many other players like Jomo and all those different guys like that, and we're put here, man. And I'm glad we take up the mantle. Kenny, I appreciate you, man, taking up the mantle. My brother's on here. My brother Curtis was up here. He took up the mantle. Yeah, he took up the mantle, and your sister's up here. I see Milagro's up here. And we take up the mantle because as African American men, we cannot just think about our kids, because when there's so many other kids out there that need mentors and fathers. So, Kenny, I want to say thank you, man. Appreciate you, man. And I'll say this one last thing here is that Mr. Jones, when I was about to make, my stage to the pros, I said, man, if I make it, man, what you want me to get you, right? And he would say, yeah, man, find somebody like yourself, right? And do what I've done for you, you do for them. Right. And so I see that in you, I've seen it in me, right? And I'm sure Meech somewhere down the line is going to find somebody, down the line that he's going to help out too as well. So, man, you guys have made me proud. Man, it's a pleasure to have you on there. Kenny, what you think about this guy, man?
Man, I ain't got nothing but love for that boy. He a knucklehead. He's the reason for some of all of this right here. See all this?
Yeah.
That video you showed, I ain't have none of that. And then, but nah, that's my kid, man. That is my kid. Wholeheartedly.
I remember one time, man, like in high school. I remember one time in high school, I said, man, how Meech doing? Man, I don't know, man. This guy, man, he doing whatever he want to do, man, and then what? You was right back with him. You was right back with him, man. Yo was going tooth and nail, man. Yeah. So Kenny, you out there watching? Where you at, man? Can you hear me? Kenny, you on mute, man, or something?
I think you're reading the question.
Oh, he reading the question?
Yeah.
Kenny, explain how you felt when Meech played in NCAA tournaments. You read that, Kenny? You got glasses on too, man.
You're on mute.
You on mute.
Oh, you're on mute.
Now he froze. Yeah, he probably going to come back in. He got to go out and come back in. I'm gonna tell you this before, when I was younger, I had Kenny them, and I was trying to help him out, trying to help his little game, and I used to pick out these spots on the floor. Oh, you seen that question?
Yeah, I saw the question. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I signed out and come back in.
Yeah.
So, actually, I mean, all you guys that know me, you guys know I'm not a crier or anything like that. So as I went to the tournament, I went to the games, and when you do things in life, you do things for people, and you just want them to be living their moment, and to watch him live in that moment and accept it and love it, and it was like he was just out there by himself. Of course, Lowe's, you know how that feels, or should I say Uncle June, right? You know how that feels when you on the court and you're in the zone, right? And to watch him in the zone and live in the moment, it brought a tear to my eye.
Oh man, yeah, he must be in a bad space. He got to go in and out. But
did you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you now. You said when you in that zone, man, you was proud of him.
Yeah, and it's just an incredible feeling, and it was incredible for me to be able to watch him enjoy that moment. It's to be in that zone.
And you only
Thousands of
had
people.
one Denzel tear.
Yep. The Glory movie. Yes. The Glory movie. Absolutely.
Hey, you want to tell Meech, when I was playing back in the day, trying to help you out, right?
With my crazy attitude.
Yeah, he had crazy attitude. I mean, and I used to play him, man. I was like, because he always thought he was like 10 feet tall, man. And he's always thinking like he was going to beat somebody, right? And so I had to give these guys, because they had just a little bit too much cockiness back in the day. And I used to give them spots. Where's your spot at, man?
It was the right elbow.
Right elbow. I said, like, okay, that's your spot right there. I'm going to beat you. I ain't going to another spot. Just that spot right there. That's your spot. That's Kenny's spot. Elbow, right? And beat him every single time just on the elbow shot. You knew I was going there. I mean, but it still wasn't anything he could do about it. I don't think he told you about that, right, Meech?
No, he didn't tell me that.
Man, I had a bunch of names of people all over the floor where I would just beat them from just those spots, man. Because they used to talk all the time, man, like they was good. I said, look, man, I'm going right there. What can you do about that? He could do nothing about it. But so Meech, hey Kenny, I want to thank you for popping on. I know your son is playing in there, man. How's he doing? Look, he's stuck again. Kenny, say goodbye. Say goodbye, man. Kenny. So Meech, what's next? What's the plan? As we come to, you can say goodbye, Kenny. Yeah. So what's next, man? Let's talk about like what you're planning, what the plan is now. What you're working towards, right now.
Well, now I'm just working on just obviously, just getting my body right, make sure I'm well conditioned, get ready for the G League.
Yeah. Oh man. And you got an agent and everything like that. And yeah. Is there anything he's trying to prepare you for?
He's we kind of creating that bond. We already knew each other from 3 years ago. He actually signed one of the seniors that left the year I came into step. So, we kind of knew each other from then. So, it ain't no different. He told me the same thing everybody else told me, from my coaches and stuff like that. It just everybody's gonna criticize you for your height and size. So it ain't nothing different from high school that you had never seen before. It's gonna be the same thing. So you just gotta be well prepared for it, which I am. So I'm just controlling what I can control at this point.
Yeah. And so I got a question here. It says, Meech, based on how Kenny was with you, do you see yourself doing that for someone one day?
Oh yeah, I can. Obviously, in Mount Vernon, we always look for that, that father figure role. It's very, very fortunate. You don't grow up with both parents, in your life. So, if there's like anybody that I know I could help, for sure. Because I looked for that.
Yeah. And I mean, it's kind of hard sometimes, like when you're in this moment now, right, where you're still trying to, achieve something, right, and you're busy, right, and to turn around now, you want to continually and consistently talk to your brothers, like, hey man, do well in school, man, have good attitude, things like that, right? And try to encourage them too, but you're still in the midst of doing what you do, so I figure like somewhere down the road, you'll run into that person God has for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it'll be good, you know? So when you think about, playing professional basketball, I mean, what is some of your strongest attributes, and what is some besides you when I say weak, some of the weaknesses of that you think you need to work on?
Strength wise, I feel like obviously my speed, I think my speed is like top notch. My athleticism at my size is kind of unique. Obviously, you rarely see that from my size. You know, Catch and shoot is kind of becoming one of my strengths. But my weaknesses is just obviously getting better shooting off the dribble. Kind of turn down my turnovers. My floaters. Obviously, each level you get to, it's obviously going to be bigger. Obviously, bigger, taller sizes and stuff like that. So, obviously, it's working on your floaters, making it easier for you. So I think those are one of my weaknesses that I'm working on this summer. So.
Yeah. Yeah. And before we get off, I mean, can you talk about your mom, man, and her sacrifice?
She sacrificed a lot of time. Yeah, a lot of time. I remember, obviously, when I was 4 and I went to go live with my grandma, she made me move with my grandma just off the fact that, I really didn't see her most of the day. The only time I get to see her is probably like at night, and she'll probably have to go back to work. So I really got to see her. So, she obviously moved with my grandmother. And even then, I still didn't get to see her because, obviously she was on the street as much, so, working overtimes, doubles and stuff like that. So, and then obviously, getting just bettering her for herself so we can be good. And then, when I was 11, that's when, she, found a place in Mount Vernon. And then, I remember she called me and, when she told me, I was moving backward, and I kind of didn't want to leave. I was like, I didn't want to leave. I didn't want to go to Mount Vernon, wherever that was. I didn't know what Mount Vernon was at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of didn't want to leave my grandmother because at that time I was the only person that was living with my grandma at that time. So I didn't want to leave my grandmother. So,
right.
But when I look back at it, I think that was probably one of the best decisions I made. Because, I always look back, if I still lived over there, I wouldn't know the people that I know now or even have the opportunities that I have now. The chances for me having those opportunities would probably be slim if I would have stayed in the Bronx. So, I could just be very much thankful and, just being blessed that I just made that decision for myself.
Yeah. No, that's good. My brother Curtis was saying, man, do you know what G League team you may be playing for?
No, I do not. Not right now. I do not know. I'll probably know sometime in August.
Okay. So if you had, if there's young person on there that there's probably a parent out there that's on the show now, or maybe a young person that's on the here tonight, or may look at this later. What advice would you give them in terms of, as they are looking towards growth, success, and stuff like that? What advice would you give them?
Just believe in yourself. The only one that's gonna stop you is you. The only one that's gonna block your blessings is you. You gotta put the time in. You gotta put the work in. Block out the noise. You're always gonna be criticized. No matter how much love you get, there's always somebody that's gonna criticize you. Maybe it's for the better, or maybe they just mean it. Obviously we just gotta use it as motivation. So, I feel like, if I could do it, everybody else could do it. So,
yeah,
you just gotta believe in yourself and, just be patient. I feel like with us, we kind of try to rush the process. and it just doesn't happen like that. You know, just staying patient and, you know, obviously having that faith, you know, and, you know, control what you can control and let God figure it out. You know, everything else comes in itself in full circle. So,
Yeah. And I think as a, you know, I always say on here that my grandfather used to tell me, he said, come here, let me give you a nugget, you know. And I think you just said something that was very important. Trust the process, right? And I think people need to know that there is a process, right? That, you know, that you can't jump steps.
okay.
Yeah, you got to go through the process. And yeah, I think they appreciate you for being able to say that, right? And the other thing I want them out there to know, you graduated in what, and
20,
what do you see yourself after basketball doing?
That's kind of a good question that I ask myself a lot. You know, I don't like people say they see me coaching. You know, I didn't see that a couple years ago, but now I'm starting to see it. I could see my coach. I could see me being a coach. You know, obviously after basketball's done, so
Yeah,
okay, it kind of makes sense.
yeah. And you graduated in
Sports management.
So yeah, so the coaching aspect of it, but also the sports management
Right.
aspect of it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool, man. I mean, and when you think about sports management, is broad. What would you see if you're not coaching? What aspect would you go in terms of sports management? What were you thinking about when you took the major?
So when I it was kind of tricky because I was kind of like when I first went into Stack, I was a business management. I was in business management,
Mm-hmm.
but I ended up changing it to sport management because I kind of seen something when I was in the training room. I kind of seen something that I just liked. I don't know what it was. I think when the trainer was like taping somebody's ankle or something like that, I'm
Mm-hmm.
like that looked kind of cool.
Just to tape an ankle?
Yeah, it looked kind of cool. So I'm like, I don't know. I just changed it from there, and then obviously I get to learn different aspects of it. You know, obviously you could be an agent out of it, you know, and stuff like that. So it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, they don't know. There's a lot of you know, a lot of places to go with it. You know, it's just not one thing. You know, in terms of sports management, man, it's so broad now. It's ridiculous. Yeah. So, yeah, man, I really wish you the best, man. And if I can help, just, you know, let me know, man. And man, and I'll say this final thing, man. One of the things that I always love, I believe you love basketball, right? And you know, I love basketball, but I learned to enjoy it too.
Yeah.
You know, I learned to enjoy the process. I've learned to enjoy the work, because we don't always like to work sometimes, but I've learned to work, and both the spiritual side of it, the mental side of it, and the physical side of it. So I say to you, man, enjoy this. I mean, because what you have accomplished over these last, from high school to college, and now on an opportunity to, you know, to venture into the pros. I'm saying, like, enjoy every moment of it, you know, and have some fun with it, you know. Yeah. So again, thanks, man. I'm gonna sign out now, but thanks a lot for coming on. Hold on for a moment as I sign out. And I want to say thank you, each and every one of you who supported tonight. If you guys don't mind, you can go to Lowesmore, the Blueprint, on Facebook and like it, and also YouTube, Lowesmore, the Blueprint, on YouTube, and like it and subscribe. And again, thank you for your support this week, man. I love bringing you these interviews and the opportunity to meet so many wonderful people. And so I say, if God allows you to wake up tomorrow, right, make tomorrow your masterpiece, right? God bless you. Love you guys. And I'll see you next week.
We really hope you enjoyed this episode of Lowe's More, the Blueprint Podcast. Stay connected and follow us at our website, www.lowesmore.com. That's LOWESMOORE.com. You can also join the discussion on Twitter at Lowe's More and on Facebook at Lowe's More Jr. As always, thank you for pushing your mindset towards a better reality. This concludes the most thought-provoking portion of your day. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this podcast to stay fully up to date with everything we're up to. Until next time, be kind to yourself and each other.
What they teaching is a joke. I ain't buying it like I'm broke. Insufficient funds for insignificant.